Irigaray's Why Different is an exploration of difference, particularly gender difference, as a foundational concept for rethinking identity, relationships, and society. Irigaray critiques prevailing models of universalism that obscure or deny difference, arguing instead for an ethical and philosophical framework that recognizes and respects diversity through a blend of feminist theory, philosophical reflection, and cultural critique. The book examines how acknowledging and cultivating difference can lead to a more just and inclusive social order. The introduction sets the stage by situating Irigaray's work within the broader context of her feminist philosophy. She critiques the dominance of patriarchal systems that impose a false universality, erasing difference to maintain structures of power. Irigaray's central argument is that acknowledging and respecting difference, particularly sexual difference, is essential for ethical relationships and societal transformation. She proposes a rethinking of identity, not as a fixed or monolithic concept, but as something dynamic, relational, and grounded in the recognition of the other. In the first chapter, Irigaray focuses on the philosophical underpinnings of identity and subjectivity, interrogating the ways in which traditional Western thought has privileged sameness over difference. Drawing on her critiques of figures like Hegel and Freud, she explores how patriarchal frameworks define the subject as universal, often equating it with masculinity, while relegating femininity to the status of the other. She argues that this dynamic not only erases women's singularity, but also distorts the possibility of authentic relationality. Irigaray calls for a reconceptualization of subjectivity that affirms sexual difference as fundamental to identity and interpersonal relationships. The second chapter delves into the cultural and societal implications of denying difference, particularly as it relates to gender and sexuality. Irigaray examines how patriarchal systems reinforce hierarchies and inequalities by subsuming women under male-defined norms. She critiques the way institutions, from education to religion, perpetuate these dynamics, limiting the potential for genuine dialogue and mutual recognition between genders. By contrast, she argues that embracing difference can open up new possibilities for social and cultural renewal, fostering relationships based on respect and reciprocity, rather than domination and assimilation. In the third chapter, Irigaray turns to the role of language in shaping our understanding of difference. She critiques the phallocentric nature of language, which privileges male-centered perspectives and marginalizes female voices. Irigaray emphasizes the need for a new linguistic framework that can express and honor sexual difference, suggesting that such a transformation is essential for fostering equality and mutual understanding. She explores how language can be reimagined as a space of creativity and relationality, where difference is not erased, but celebrated. The fourth chapter explores the ethical dimensions of recognizing and respecting difference. Irigaray critiques traditional ethical frameworks, which often rely on abstract principles that fail to account for the complexities of lived relationships. She proposes an ethics of difference that is rooted in attentiveness to the other's singularity and needs. Drawing on both philosophical and spiritual traditions, Irigaray emphasizes the importance of love, care, and mutual respect in ethical relationships. This chapter underscores her belief in the transformative power of relationality to create a more compassionate and equitable society. The fifth chapter examines the political and social implications of Irigaray's philosophy of difference. She critiques existing political systems for their failure to address the realities of difference, particularly as it relates to gender and cultural diversity. Irigaray argues for a new political framework that prioritizes dialogue, inclusion, and respect for diversity, suggesting that this is essential for addressing the challenges of globalization and fostering a more just world. She reflects on the role of education, activism, and cultural practices in supporting this vision, emphasizing the need for systemic change to create spaces for genuine dialogue and collaboration. In the sixth chapter, Irigaray engages with the spiritual dimensions of difference, reflecting on how spiritual practices and traditions can support her vision of relationality and mutual recognition. She critiques traditional religious frameworks for their tendency to reinforce hierarchical and patriarchal structures, arguing that spirituality must be reimagined in ways that honor difference and promote inclusivity. Irigaray reflects on the role of rituals, symbols, and practices in fostering spiritual connection, drawing on insights from both Eastern and Western traditions. This chapter underscores her belief in the potential of spirituality to create deeper and more meaningful relationships, both within and across cultures. The seventh chapter addresses the challenges and possibilities of cultivating difference in a world that often prioritizes sameness and conformity. Irigaray acknowledges the difficulties of overcoming entrenched systems of power and privilege, emphasizing the need for patience, humility, and perseverance. At the same time, she affirms her belief in the transformative potential of dialogue, relationality, and creativity to foster a more inclusive and compassionate society. This chapter serves as a call to action, inviting readers to embrace the challenge of rethinking their assumptions about identity, difference, and community. The conclusion ties together the themes of the book, reiterating Irigaray's central argument that acknowledging and cultivating difference is essential for personal, relational, and societal transformation. She emphasizes the importance of dialogue, creativity, and openness in fostering relationships that honor the singularity of each individual while building a more just and inclusive world. Irigaray concludes with a hopeful vision of a future where difference is not a source of division, but a foundation for connection and growth.